This miniseries begins with Haruki Nano, an ordinary young man who lives with his 4 sisters. One morning he is awakened by the sound of his alarm, having fallen asleep while helping his younger sister to study. At one point we see Yuzuki and Satsuki, the younger sisters, who enter the room and ask Haruki to help wake you up. To do so, the younger sisters begin tickling him, causing Heroi to accidentally touch Yua, causing her to wake up. Yua, upon being woken up, hits Haruki. Just then Matsuki, the oldest sister of all, enters and scolds and Haruki for the ruckus. To put an end to the fight, she threatens to call her mother, which makes them immediately stop as they fear that her mother will take away their allowance. Then we see Heroi getting ready in the bathroom to go to study, while his sisters keep insisting that he let them get ready first. Finally, the episode ends with the 4 siblings leaving their house in the direction of their respective schools. One night Heroi is watching a horror movie when he notices some eyes watching him from outside his door, which scares him greatly. In the next scene we see Wei changing, and he notices exactly the same eyes as before. When he looks through the door of his room, he realizes that they are Yuzuki and Satsuki. The girls explain to him that they are working on an assignment about their family, where they had to describe each of their relatives. Then Matsuki appears and starts complaining, insisting that they must do their homework well. The little brawls catch up, and when they finish, they begin to read what they have prepared. They start with Haruki, who mentions that he is the only boy in the family present, saying that he is a geek, addicted to video games, not athletic at all, and scared. Then they move on to Yai, highlighting that she's good at sports, and end with Matsuki, just describing her as a great example for her sisters, an imposing figure, good at studies as well as sports. At the end of the day, the girls return home from school happy and tell Heroi that they got the best grade on their homework. On another day after school, Haruki comes home, and upon entering her room, he finds Matsuki asleep in her bed, dressed only in her uniform, top and skirt. Our protagonist tries to wake her up, but is unsuccessful. SOI decides to leave just as her sisters arrive. At that moment, Matsuki wakes up and appears in her uniform, but it is very noticeable that one of her stockings is down. Haruki, trying to help her, rushes in to fix it, causing Y to misunderstand the situation and hit him. After that, Ya goes off to play, and Matsuki, along with Yua, retreats to change, leaving Haruki a bit confused and beaten up, feeling bad since he only tried to protect his older sister's image. At the end of the day, Matsuki heads off to take a shower, and before she goes in, Haruki gives her a towel, remembering a previous incident where she forgot her underwear and sent him to get it but was seen by Yue, who also hit him. Later, Harry returns to his room and sees Matsuki lying on his bed reading a magazine wrapped only in the towel he had given her. He complains to her, but she tells him that she finds it uncomfortable to get dressed right after her shower and that she plans to stay like that for a while. However, she falls asleep. In this chapter, we see all the family members shopping at the supermarket. Yo suggests buying rice first, and Haruki agrees, but not much, and even though he has a hard time taking the rice, he decides to take it anyway. Then, Matsuki and the girls are attracted by a free sample and approach with the adorable expressions to get some of these small samples. Matsuki apologizes for the little girl's behavior, but she also ends up agreeing and trying a sample. After that, they visit several stalls, one by one, trying what they offer, and in the end one of the vendors gives some things to the girls. They realize that they still need to buy a curry, and although Haruki likes spicy curry, they decide to choose a mild one so that the girls can enjoy it without any problem. When they get home, they prepare dinner, and the girls have the impression that the dish could be spicy, but in the end they like it a lot, because indeed it is not spicy. We spent another day with Satsui waiting for Ruki to come home. When he arrives, the girl hands him a manga, which they both read. Haruki asks Satsuki to read it first or at the same time, but she prefers not to, so Haruki accepts her decision. Later he meets Yuzuki and asks her if she's going to read that manga, but she says that she wouldn't understand it. Then Haruki asks her to tease his sister a little, but Yuzuki corrects him, mentioning that their teacher has taught them not to do bad things while putting clothespins in Haruki's hair. In the end, Satsuki finishes reading, and the 2 girls go outside to play, leaving Heroi with the clothespin still on his head. Later Satsuki wants to go inside the house, and when they do it, turn on the TV just in time to watch their favorite. And Haruki warns the little girl to get away from the screen a bit, but she doesn't pay much attention to him. At that moment Yua enters and explains that when Satsuki is very focused on something that interests her, she doesn't listen to anyone. Yuzuki also mentions that Satsuki knows when the anime she likes will be broadcast without needing to look at the time when the anime she was watching ends. The girls go to play in her room, and we see the little girls having fun. Satsuki mentions that the promises she makes to her are very important. At the end of the day, Satsuki continues watching anime, while Haruki gets bored and asks Yuzuki if it bothers him that his sister ignores him. Yuzuki answers that he won't do anything that his sister doesn't want. In the next chapter, we notice that the exams are approaching and we see a worried Heroi entering his room, where he finds Matsuki on his bed with a rather strange pose. She tells him that she will teach him everything, but he refuses, thinking this with a double meaning, stating that he can study alone. Matsuki is saddened and mentions that he also asked why to teach her, but it turns out that Yo has disappeared. However, we later see her studying in her room and just then Ye takes the opportunity to ask him to teach her, since he thinks he's a good teacher. Haruki agrees, but soon Haruki realizes that Yayoi does not understand anything of what he is teaching. He reviews his past exams and realizes that his sister's problem is multiplication. Eri decides that EOA should write all the multiplication tables on a sheet of paper so that she can practice what she fails. At that moment, the little girls come in to say goodbye because they are going to sleep. So the sisters wish luck on her exam. However, the girls tell him that they got the best grades on their math exam, which makes Yo feel even worse. The next day, Yo comes home and tries to avoid Heroi when he asks her about her exam, causing him to suspect that she did poorly on the test. However, he stops her, and as they try to escape, they both trip and Heroi falls on top of his sister. But just then Matsuki appears, who sees them in that situation and freezes thinking, due to a misunderstanding, that it is her fault for having asked them to get along better. One day, inside the house, the little girls are wearing their swimsuits. Yua asks them why they are wearing them and they tell her that they have swimming class that day. This sparks interest in Yua, and she takes the opportunity to tell Matsuki that she really wants to go to the beach. But Matsuki explains that it is not yet the season to be able to go. Despite that, Yua comes up with a good idea. Later, Heroi arrives home and feels that it is very hot. When he enters, he's surprised to find his sisters dressed in swimsuits. The situation is misinterpreted, and at that moment Yad hits him and calls him taking advantage of this to get angry with him for not going to the beach last year because he had to take entrance exams. Harry tells him that this summer they can go, but he reminds him that now it is her turn to take her exams. After this, Haruki heads to his room, but Yua throws her swimsuit at him and forces him to change to go outside. Later, the girls decide to use an inflatable pool they had when they were little. However, when they try, they realize that they no longer fit well in it because of how much they have all grown. Despite that, they manage to find ways to have fun inside it. When evening falls, the little girls return home and find the three brothers very cold. In this chapter, Satsuki is reading a manga about twins who look nothing alike, and since they don't look alike, think they are not sisters. At that moment Mizuki enters and comments that she thinks she's adopted, since if they really were sisters, they should at least look alike. Suddenly Haruki appears in the room and realizes that his sisters are very sad. Yukai asks Kuki if he thinks she's adopted, and he skeptically shows them a picture of Matsuki when she was little, where she looked identical to her. Accepting that she's not adopted, Yuzuki begins to doubt, since Haruki looks like her father. Yoa looks like her mother, and the same with Satsuki and Matsuki, but she doesn't look like anyone. Determined to find answers, Yuzuki goes to her parents' room in search of some proof. At that moment, Matsuki sees her very curious about the case, and upon entering the room, she shows her a picture of her grandmother, who looks identical to Yuzuki. Just then he enters looking sad, and tells them that her grades were low. Again, she says that everyone gets good grades except her, and assures that this means that she must be adopted because she's not as good at math as her brothers are. The next day we see Yuzuki running towards Haruki to hug him in a surprising way. Just at that moment Satsuki also appears, and when she sees her sister, Satsuki asks her what she is doing, to which Yuzuki, nervous, answers that it's time for dinner and avoids explaining the moment. During dinner, Yuzuki sits next to Haruki, which causes him to suspect that she has put something in his food. With a little fear, he begins to eat but realizes that his food is in perfect condition, so he calms down. After finishing dinner, Haruki goes to his room to sleep, and upon entering he meets Yuzuki, who asks him to read her a story. Yuzuki, in a moment of sincerity, tells him that she loves him, which leaves Heroi very confused. At that moment, Satsuki appears and shows Heroi the anime that she had been watching the day before, in which a girl played a joke on her. Brother Satsuki explains that Yuzuki was doing the same thing, which relieves Heroi. Then next day, Zuki confirms that she was indeed playing with him. One night, Haruka wakes up to find Matsuki on top of him. Out of intrigue, he asks her why they were in that situation, and she explains that she needed to ask him a favor. She wants him to. Matsuki tells him that at her school they are preparing a play, and since no one wanted to play the role of the princess, she accepted, but now she must kiss the prince, and she has never kissed anyone, so she doesn't know how to fake it, and that's why she went looking for help. At the moment, when they are about to kiss, Haruki reacts, pushing his sister away and telling her that they can't do that because they are siblings. Matsuki falls silent and runs off to his room after a moment. Haruki feels that he should apologize for how he expressed himself, so he goes to her. However, Matsuki turns around holding the play script and tells him that there is actually no kiss scene because he had mixed up the roles, which explained his earlier reaction. Here was another night, and Heroi was lying in front of Yaoi's bedroom door seeing her and asking for help, because he feels bad, unable to return to his room. Ya takes him to her room and he tells her she should go rest because she has school the next day, despite disagreeing with leaving him alone. She agrees, though she's very worried about her brother's current state. The next day, in the dining room, all the sisters are gathered, and the youngest asks about Heroi, who tells them he's sick. Meanwhile, in Haruki's room, he tries to concentrate on not wetting the bed, as he really needs to go to the bathroom, but he can't move and finally falls asleep. When he wakes up, he sees Yua taking care of him. Harry thanks her for coming back. Yua tries to take care of him alone, and while she's taking off his shirt to wipe the sweat off, all the other sisters arrive unexpectedly and see Heroi and Yayoi in a very compromising position, leading to misunderstandings. They start to tease Yayoi, who angrily leaves the room trying to explain before that she hits Heroi, who falls back onto his bed in pain and still sick. In this chapter, the sisters are watching a very scary horror movie while Heroi is playing video games. Yua surprisingly expresses that she wants to sleep with him. Heroi, thinking his sister is sick, decides to take her to his room out of concern. On the way, he meets the two little sisters who are going to the bathroom and ask her, Rucky, to watch them while they're there. Despite his initial refusal, the little ones start crying, forcing him to agree, leaving Heroi baffled by their behavior. Afterwards, Haruki returns to his room and notices Matsuki asleep in his bed. When he tries to wake her up, she hugs him. At that moment, the other sisters enter the room and decide they will sleep with him tonight. They all settle down on the floor to sleep, and Haruki thinks he doesn't dislike the idea of everyone sleeping together from time to time. The next day, Haruki tells his sisters they can count on him, but they ignore him, laughing the calm it's better not to watch horror stuff for a while, which explains why they decided to sleep with him. Then, in the OVA of this anime, all the characters have gone to a public bath and where the little sisters are excited about the idea of drinking ale after bathing. Despite the excitement, their older sisters warn them that they should shower first. During this process, Aiwei feels embarrassed while wearing a towel, and Mizuki, in a moment of mischief, quickly takes the towel from her by running with it in her hand, which causes a fight between them. Matsuki intervenes to calm them down. Later, everyone enjoys taking a shower and then get into the pool with hot water. Meanwhile, Heroi is in his intrusive thoughts, imagining funny and very peculiar scenarios with his sisters, although he reflects on how difficult it is for him to get excited in that situation. Upon leaving the public bath, the girls are excited to be able to drink their latte, but are disappointed to receive it in a box instead of a bottle. A lady at the store explains to them that they have changed the presentation. The girls, with their boxes of latte, decide that next time they go they will look for a place that offers the coffee and bottles. Harry misses drinking her and suddenly starts making fun of her by comparing the size of her to Matsuki. This causes Yoa to run away crying, but despite the little fight, everyone ends up having a lot of fun during the day.